After China, Russia has filed a lawsuit with the World Trade Organization against the U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminium imports. Russian Economy Minister Maxim Oreshkin has criticized the U.S. for indulging in protectionism and violating the rules of the WTO. With few exemptions, the U.S. President Donald Trump introduced a 25% tariff on steel and a 10% tariff on aluminium imports to protect domestic producers. Canada has announced it will impose about over $12 billion worth of retaliatory tariffs on the U.S. goods from July 1 in the wake of trade tensions with Washington. The retaliatory tariffs by Canada come in response to U.S. imposition of 25% steel tariff and 10% tariff on aluminium. Canada has also announced financial aid of about $1.5 billion for its steel, aluminium and manufacturing industries. Alexander Gauland, the leader of Germany's far-right party Alternative for Germany, has strongly criticized the outcome of the EU summit in Brussels, where European Union leaders claim success in reaching a hard-fought deal to control immigration. AfD leader also said no real solution was offered by the EU at the end of the two-day summit and everything was to continue as before. Slovakia and the Czech Republic have expressed concerns on the future of the European Union. Visiting France, Slovakian Prime Minister Peter Pellegrini has said that he is happy that Macron is willing to hear out their stances on the bloc's future, although the French president has insisted on the importance of European unity in the face of modern issues. Thousands of protesters, meanwhile, marched towards the U.S. Capitol from the White House to protest against the Trump administration's immigration policies, which have separated children from parents at the U.S.-Mexico border. People crowding downtown Washington waved signs and chanted shame as religious leaders and activists urged the administration to be more welcoming of foreigners and to reunite families. Trump says illegal immigration fosters crime and implemented a zero-tolerance policy in May to prosecute all immigrants apprehended for entering illegally. French humanitarian NGO SOS Mediterranean has denounced proposed solutions to the European Union's migrant crisis a day after the bloc held a summit focusing on solving of long-running issues. The NGO, which runs the migrant rescue ship Aquarius from the southern French city of Marseille, said that the EU's proposed solutions on establishing a maritime rescue model are insufficient. South Koreans held rallies on refugees in Seoul after a rapid rise in the number of Yemeni asylum seekers sparked anti-refugee sentiment in the racially homogeneous country. Hundreds of protesters gathered in central Seoul and chanted anti-refugee slogans just across the street. Dozens of civic group members held a rally to support refugees and chanted welcoming slogans. Police were positioned around the protest area. However, no clashes broke out. An Israeli-American teenager has been found guilty in Israel for making about 2,000 hoax bomb threats against Jewish and other institutions in the United States and elsewhere during Donald Trump's rise to U.S. presidency in 2017. The incident stoked allegations by some American critics at the time that the Republican contender was encouraging anti-Semitism and other forms of racism. Trump has denied any such wrongdoing. A close relative of Pakistan's ousted Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif is reportedly contesting the July 25 general elections from a party backed by global terrorist and Mumbai attack mastermind Hafiz Saeed. Begum Saira Bano, who is a cousin of Sharif's wife Kulsum Nawaz, is contesting from a provincial assembly seat on the ticket of Allahu Akbar Tehreek, an outfit supported by Hafiz Saeed's Milli Muslim League. U.S. President Donald Trump's close ally Rudy Giuliani has said that Washington will suffocate Iran's dictatorial ayatollahs. Giuliani suggested re-imposition of sanctions against Iran are squarely aimed at regime change in Tehran. Giuliani said that the U.S. is now realistically seeing an end to the regime of Iran pointing to recent protests in the country sparked by a currency collapse after Trump pulled out of the 2015 nuclear deal. Meanwhile, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has said that US economic pressure on Iran is intended to turn Iranians against their government. The country's real currency has lost up to 40% of its value since last month, when US President Donald Trump pulled out of Iran's 2015 nuclear accord. Khamenei accused the United States and other Gulf Arab states of trying to destabilize the government in Tehran. Mexican leaders representing tens of thousands of indigenous people have vowed to block voting in their communities to protest a system they say has failed them. Residents have destroyed campaign signs and set up blockades to prevent the government from delivering ballots. Election officials have declared 16 towns here unviable and will not likely risk confrontation to force polling stations to open. China has unveiled a new negative list of foreign investment in the country's pilot free trade zones, with the number of items down to 45 from 95 in the previous version. The new list, jointly released by the National Development and Reform Commission and the Ministry of Commerce, will be effective starting July 30th this year. The list also eased restrictions in the cultural sector, as foreign investors will be allowed to own a majority stake in performing arts agencies. Hundreds of thousands of LGBT individuals took to the streets of Paris for this year's LGBT Pride Parade. Dressed in colorful, glittery costumes, some face-painted and some scantily clad, participants danced to heavy beats while waving the LGBT community's trademark rainbow flag as floats blasted deafening party music. Among the attendees was Javan Montgomery, a former asylum seeker who left his home country of Azerbaijan in 2013 for France to escape persecution for being gay. Thousands of lesbians, gay, bisexual and transgender rights supporters marched in Manila's annual Pride March as the country's top court deliberated a case seeking to legalize same-sex marriage. The march's organizers said around 7,000 people turned up for the parade, which celebrates gender identity and expression in the predominant Catholic Philippines. Having failed to find any sign of 12 boys and their soccer coach during a week-long search of flooded cave complex in northern Thailand, rescuers held out hope that the group could have found safety on a rocky mount in one of the chambers. Divers from the Thai Navy's Elite SEAL unit continue to look through the murky waters, filling passages of the 10-kilometer cave as the rescue effort turned increasingly desperate. The rescue operation is hampered by heavy rains. A rocket developed by a Japanese startup company exploded seconds after liftoff in northern Japan. The Momo-2 rocket was launched from Taiki town in Japan's Hokkaido island. It was supposed to reach as high as 100 kilometers into space. The footage on your screen right now shows that a 10-meter pencil rocket lifted only slightly from its launch pad before dropping to the ground, disappearing in a fireball. The explosion caused no injuries. As the Saudi government has done away with the ban on women driving, women fashion designers in the conservative kingdom have begun designing colorful abayas to suit a newfound freedom. The abaya is the traditional long robe that women wear in Saudi Arabia as well as across the Gulf and other countries. As a result of sweeping reforms spearheaded by young Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the women now enjoy more freedoms in work and social lives. Palestinians held a funeral procession for a 14-year-old boy who was shot and killed by Israeli forces during protests along the Gaza border on Friday. Hundreds of people gathered in Khan Yunis to carry the body of Yasser Abu al-Najjar to a mosque for a funeral prayer before his burial. Gaza medical officials say that the boy, along with a 24-year-old man, were hit by live bullets. 4 other men wounded by live fire are in critical condition. Pope Francis has warmly welcomed Bolivian President Evo Morales to the Vatican. This was the 6th meeting between Francis and Morales, making him the Latin American leader with the most meetings with the leader of the Catholic Church. The Bolivian president gave the pontiff a number of gifts, including large pictures of Francis embracing a child wearing a native Bolivian headdress. India's Tata Steel has signed an agreement with Germany's AG to establish a joint venture. Both companies hope it will help them respond to challenges in the volatile steel industry, including overcapacity. It's the largest European steel deal since the takeover of ArcelorMittal by Mittal in 2006. The 50-50 joint venture, to be named THYSSENKRUPP-TATA Steel, will have around 48,000 workers and about 17 billion euros in sales. Reality star Kylie Jenner has featured on the list of Time magazine's 25 most influential people on the internet of 2018. The list also features pop stars like Kanye West, Rihanna, and United States President Donald Trump. The list features celebs based on their social media impact and their ability to drive news. Ashley Judd takes her Me Too spirit to civil war-torn South Sudan to meet victims of rape and sexual assault. Instrumental to the Me Too movement, the Hollywood actor helped investigative reporters of the New York Times in exposing Harvey Weinstein. Pop stars Jason Derulo, Hailey Stenfield, Dimitri Vegas and Sigala performed at the Isle of MTV Malta Festival. The 12th edition of the Isle of MTV Festival kicked off with the sun-soaked island playing host to some of pop's biggest names. On to sports now, and let's begin with all the latest from FIFA World Cup. We start with Saturday's early action at the 2018 FIFA World Cup, where France became the first team to book their place in quarterfinals after edging Argentina in a 7-goal thriller. Blue took to the lead through an Antoine Griezmann's 13th minute penalty, but he turned things around. He turned things around with goals on either side of the break. Benjamin Pavard restored parity and Kylian Mbappe's double, but France in a comfortable position. Sergio Aguero's injury time header gave Argentina hope, but it was too late for any significant impact as France progressed with a 4-3 victory. And that twin strike from Kylian Mbappe saw him become the first teenager since Pelé to score multiple goals in a World Cup match. 19-year-old emulated the Brazilian legend who achieved the feat during their maiden World Cup in 1958. And Argentina's round of 16 exit at the World Cup also spelled the end of the road for veteran midfielder Javier Mascherano. The 34-year-old announced his international retirement right after the Albiceleste's defeat to France. The former Barcelona and Liverpool star featured every minute of Argentina's matches. Meanwhile, Edinson Cavani's double helped Uruguay set up a quarter-final clash against France as the two-time champions edged Portugal 2-1. Cavani's 7-minute opener was cancelled out by Pepe's 55th minute equalizer, but the Paris Saint-Germain star curled home Rodrigo Bentancur's pass to send Uruguay through to the next round. And in today's World Cup fixtures, 2010 champion Spain take on host Russia at the Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow. Despite finishing on top of Group B, La Furia Roja are yet to hit the high performance levels they're usually known for. On the other hand, Russia are hoping to reach the quarterfinals of the World Cup for the first time since 1970. Also in action later tonight are dark horses Croatia, who take on Group D runners-up Denmark at Lindsey. This will be the fourth competitive meeting between the two nations, with two of them coming at the qualification phase of the World Cup in 1997. Zlatko Dalic's side have established themselves as outside contenders for the title after topping Group C with a 100% record that included a 3-0 thrashing of Argentina.